In the previous part, we worked on our shopping cart. So now we can add any of our products to the cart. And then when we visit our cart page, the product will be there with all the details, the total, and then we can check out. Now in this part, we'll be working on a checkout modal, a very simple one. When we have a look at our screens, this is our current cart screen. And today we'll be working on the checkout modals that we have over here. So we'll be creating one for when you click on the checkout button so that you confirm whether you really want to check out. And after this, we'll have a modal which will confirm the order. Also, when we are clearing the items in the cart by pressing on the button at the top corner here, we want to confirm before we proceed with clearing. So for this as well, we'll have another modal which will ask for your confirmation before proceeding to clear the items in the cart. Now this will be a simple reusable modal, then you can apply it in any other aspect of the app that you want to. To start, we want to create a component for the modal. So under our components directory, we'll create a new directory which we'll call modals. And then under this directory, we'll create an alert modal file for our components. Now inside this, we'll create a simple function component for alert modal. Then we'll just return the fragment for the stats. And at the bottom, we'll export default the alert modal function. Now, just like all our other components, we go to the index file under components, and then we import the alert modal, and then export it once again. Now, the first place we'll be using this alert modal will be on the cart page. So under screens, we go to our cart file. Then over here, we import the alert modal in addition to our other components. Then we can go to the bottom of the page just before the main container, and then we render our alert modal. Inside here, we can use the style text to display alert modal. For the time being, you will not see anything here. So let's start working on that back in the alert modal file. So the concept of what we'll be doing is that in this alert modal component, we'll be creating the structure for the modal. So we'll create the top bar over here with the close button and also the confirmation title, and then the space for the content of the modal. For the actual content, it will be passed to the modal when it is being used. So over here, the first component we'll need is the modal component from React Native. In addition to this, we'll need the view, touchable opacity, and then style sheet. The first component to return will be the modal. And in this modal, we'll have a view. For the modal, we want it to be transparent. So we set the transparent property to true. And then we want it to be sliding from the bottom of the page. So we set animation type to slide. Now at the bottom, let's create our style sheet. So make use of stylesheet.create once again. Now the view here will contain the content for our modal. So we'll give it a style of styles.modal content. And then in this view, we'll have another view for the top section of our modal. That is the heading over here. For this, we'll give it a style of title container. And inside this, we'll have a text and also the button for closing the modal. So let's bring in our style text from the style text component. And then inside this view, we can render the style text. The text we want to display is confirmation. Now we can see it at the top here. Now for this text, we'll give it a style of title. After this, we'll have our touchable opacity. And inside this, we'll have an icon for closing the modal. So for the icon, we'll be getting it from the feather icon pack. And then we can import that from Expo vector icons. Inside this, we'll have an icon. The name of the icon is X. We want the size to be 22 pixels. And also we want to give it a color. Now for the color, we want to set it from our colors file. So we import colors from our config theme file. And we'll set the color to our primary color. Now after this view here, which is the title of our modal, we'll have the content of the modal itself. And for that, we'll accept it through the children property. So in the props, we'll destructure the children property, and below this view, we'll render the children. Now in the styles here, we'll style our modal, starting with the modal content. For this, we want to give it a width of 100% and then a height of auto. Also, we'll give it a background color of our secondary color, and then we'll position it to be absolute. Then we'll set the bottom value to 0 so that it will come all the way to the bottom of the page. Next, we have our title container. For this, we'll set the background color to our tertiary color. And then we'll give it a padding horizontal of 25. And then a padding vertical of 5 pixels. Also, when we look at the image, we see that the top borders are curved a bit. So over here, we'll set the border top right radius to 15. Do the same for the border top left radius. Now I want the items in it to be in a row. So we'll set the flex direction to row. Now we'll align the items in it to the center. Then we'll justify the content to have a space between. Lastly, we'll style the title. All we are doing here is to set the color to our primary color. Now we want to receive a function which will be called whenever this close button is pressed. We'll call this function onClose. Then we can pass it to the onPress property of the touchable opacity. Finally, we don't want the modal to be displayed all the time. So we'll take in another variable to determine when to hide or show the modal. And we'll call this as visible. And then we'll pass this to the visible property of the modal. With what we've done so far, we can go to the cart page to continue the work. Over here, I want to start by creating the content for when the checkout button is pressed. So we see that we have a text and then a button. We'll start by wrapping this in a view so we can cut it, then use the view, and then after paste it here. Now we change the content of the style text to "you are about to check out an order." Now after this statement, we want to have the total value of the cart there, and this value will be bolded. So inside this, we'll have another style text, and in this we'll render the total. So if we go to the top, we see that we have the total of the cart over here. So we can copy this statement and then paste it here. And then we pass the bold property to the style text to ensure that the text is bold. After this, we have continue. Now below the text is our button, and at the top we've imported the styled button already. So we'll use the start button here. Then the content is continue. Now we have to style it. So for the first view here, we'll give it a style of Modal content container. Next, for the text here, we'll just set a margin at the bottom of 15. And then for the button, we'll give it a style of Modal button. With this, we head to the style sheet here, starting with the Modal content container. For this, we'll give it a padding of 25 pixels and then align the items to the center. For the button, that is the Modal button, we'll reduce the height to 50. Then we'll give it a width of 50%. And as you can see, it matches the look on our image here. Now to control when to display this, we'll create a state at the top for the Modal visibility. We need the useState hook from React, which we have imported already. So at the top, we'll create another state and we'll call this is Modal visible. Then the set is Modal visible. This will have an initial value of false. With this done, we can pass this new value to the Modal. And we'll do this through the is visible property. Then we pass is Modal visible. Once we do that, the Modal should be hidden from the page. With this done, now we want to show the Modal whenever the checkout button is pressed. And for now, we see that when the checkout button is pressed, it calls the checkout function. So let's go to the checkout function at the top. Currently, we alert a message and then clear the cart. But now, when we click on the checkout, we want to confirm. So we can comment this out and then get rid of the alert message here. Instead, what we'll be doing is to set the Modal visibility to true. Once we do that and we press on the checkout, now we get our confirmation Modal. With this done, how about canceling the Modal? That is if we don't want to check out but just go back to our cart. So for this, we'll create another simple function and we'll call this cancel checkout. For the time being, all we'll do here is to set the Modal visibility to false. So we can copy the statement here, then set the value to false. Now we'll pass this function to the Modal, and we'll do that through the onClose property. Then we can paste the name of the function, like so. So once we have this, when we press on the close button here, the Modal should be hidden, meaning we canceled our checkout. Now what about the situation where we truly want to check out? So we press on the checkout button here and then we press the continue button, meaning we are supposed to get the order confirmed message over here. For this, let's create another state at the top here to help us do that. For this state, we'll call it order confirmed. Then we'll have the set function as well. The initial value will be false. Now I'll be using this new state value to alter the content in the Modal when the order has been confirmed. Also, in the process of confirming the order, that is when the continue button on the checkout Modal has been pressed, we want to have another state monitoring it so that we can have the button here to display an activity indicator. So for this state as well, we'll call it is confirming. And then to have a set function as well. Once again, this will have an initial value of false. So proceeding with the order by pressing on the continue button, we will reuse the checkout function over here. So inside the Modal, when the continue button is pressed, we want to have an onPress property. And once again, we will call the checkout function. And this time around, we want to pass a value of true. which we interpret in the checkout function as we are confirming the order. We'll see how to handle this in a bit. And this is the same button that we want to show the activity indicator to show that we are confirming the order. So using the isLoading property, we'll pass the state of is confirming. This will let us know when the order is being confirmed. Now all the content in our current view here will be used only when the order has not been confirmed. So we can cut this and then we check whether the order hasn't been confirmed. And then we can return it. For the alternative situation where the order has been confirmed, we can start by pasting the same content once again. And then we'll alter it. For this, the text will just say order confirmed. We'll add another element here in a bit, but let's go back to the checkout function. Over here, we are now receiving an argument when the continue button on the checkout modal is pressed. For this, we'll call is confirmed. Then inside this, we'll check if is confirmed is true. If this is the case, we want to set our new state, that is confirming, to true. And then after this, because nothing is actually happening here, it will happen so fast that we won't be able to even see the activity indicator. However, if you've actually connected your work here to a backend and then you are sending the request, then there'll be a slight delay so you see the activity indicator in action. But in our case, we haven't, so we'll cheat a bit here. We'll use the set timeout function to delay the call a bit. So in here, we'll return the set timeout function. And over here, we are delaying for 2 seconds. And then in our checkout function, the first thing we'll do is to set confirmed, that is order confirmed, to true. Once we've done that, we are no longer confirming. So we set is confirming to false. With this done, if we have our modal displayed like so, when we press on the continue, see that it loads for a bit and then we have order confirmed. So it is working as it should. Now let's style the content on the order confirmed modal page. So for this content, we first need an icon at the top, and we'll be getting the icon from feather. So at the top here, we check if we have the feather icon already, which we do. So we'll go ahead to use it. So this will be before the order confirmed text. The name of the icon is check circle. We'll give it a size of 45. Then the color will be our green color. Also, we want to give it a margin at the bottom. So we'll do that through the style property. Set margin at the bottom to 15. We can reduce the margin a bit to 10 pixels. Good, like so. The text here will stay the same. However, for the button, we want to change the background color. So we can convert the style here to an array. And then as a second value of the array, we'll bring an object. And in here, we'll change the background color to our green color. With this done like so, we don't need the isLoading property anymore. Now at this stage, the order has been confirmed already. So over here, we can let the button just say great. And on pressing on the button, we want it to clear the content of the cart and then hide the modal. So for this, we'll create a simple function which we'll call complete order. So at the top over here, just below where we have our cancel checkout, we'll have our complete order. Now for completing the order, we first want to clear the content in the cart. So we'll be making use of this function that we created in the previous part. Remember, we used to call this function when the checkout is pressed so that we know that we've checked out. So for this, since it's an async function, we can convert this one to an async function as well. Then over here, we first await for the content in the cart to be cleared. Once that is done, we'll hide the modal. So set is modal visible to false. And then we can set order confirmed back to the initial value of false. Now with this done, in the checkout function over here, we don't need the clear cart again, so we can get rid of it totally. Now, when we go back to our cart page and then we press on checkout, we can continue with the order. And once the order is confirmed, we can proceed again, and then the content of the cart should be cleared. Now let's add the item back to the cart again. Now, if we check out once again, continue to complete the order. Now it shows that the order is confirmed, but what about the close button here? For the time being, it is calling the cancel checkout over here. And all it's doing is to hide the modal. But at this stage, we've already confirmed the order. So even if you close it like so, you are supposed to clear the content in the cart. So to fix this, inside the cancel checkout, we also make a check for if the order has been confirmed. And if that's true, we'll return complete order instead of just going ahead to hide the modal. Now with this done, on the confirmation page, I can close it and the content of the cart should still be cleared because we are done with the order. Now we've seen how to use this simple modal in our checkout logic. Now we mentioned that we want to add the same logic to when we are clearing the items in the cart. So once again, we need to come back here and add one of the items to the cart. So on our cart screen here, we have the button here to clear the content of the cart. For working on this button, we have to go to our cart stack. So that can be found under navigators. And then on the cart screen, we see that at the right side, that is where we have our touchable opacity, which is to clear the cart. Now for the modal to work on this page, we need a similar setup to the cart page. So over here on the cart page, let's copy the section where we have the alert modal. So we select from the top to the bottom where we have the closing tag for the alert modal. And then back in the cart tag, we can paste it here, just below the stack navigator closing tag. And then wrap the whole thing in a fragment. So we go to the start of the stack navigator and then open the fragment there as well. Now we'll be using the content in the first part of the modal, so we can get rid of the second part where we have the other confirmed content. And over here, we are no longer checking if the order has been confirmed or not. So we get rid of the closing tag as well. Now at the top, we need to import the alert modal from our components. So we import alert modal from our components. And also we need to create the state to monitor when to hide or display the modal. So we bring in new state from React. And just below our cart items over here, we'll create another state, which will be the same as the one we did before. So it's modal visible. Then we'll have the set as well. As usual, the initial state will be false. But to help us monitor what we are working on, let's set the state here to true. And then back on the cart page, we see that we have an error because the modal is being shown and then some of the properties are missing. So let's locate where we have the cancel checkout. So that is in the onClose property. For this modal, when we close it, all we want to do is to hide it. So we can put an inline function over here. And then set its modal visible to false. Then back on the cart page as well, the view is also missing. So we bring in the view from React Native. So we can do that in addition to the touchable opacity. Now in addition to the modal here, we use the styled text in the modal content. And also the styled button. With this done, if we go back to the cart page, something is still missing, the styles. Now, because we are not using any style sheet on this page, we can quickly convert the styles to an inline one. Over here, all we'll do is to set a padding of 25 pixels, and then align the items to the center. Also for the button, we'll set a height of 50 pixels, set the width to 50%, and then change the background color to the tertiary one. With this done, we can go back to the cart page, and now it says the cart total is missing, which we don't need at all, so we can get rid of it. Now the actual text we want to display here is that you are about to clear your cart. Do you wish to proceed? With this done, hopefully we don't have anything missing again. So we go back to the cart page. It's confirming it's missing. This also we don't need, so we get rid of it. Now let's try again. And we see that now it works, meaning all the components that have been used here have been imported already. Now the continue button here is what we want to use to clear the content of the cart. So at the top here, if we locate the touchable opacity, which has the trash icon in it, we see that when we press it, it's used to just clear the content of the cart. So now when it is pressed, we want it to display this modal, and then the continue button in the modal will now go ahead to clear the cart. So now for the onPress, we convert this to a function, and all we'll do here is to set its modal visible to true. Now let's locate the continue button again, and over here we'll change the onPress to clear the cart. Now we can test it out. We can start by closing the modal over here and then pressing on the delete button. You see that it brings up the modal, and then pressing on continue, the content of the modal is cleared. However, the modal was not hidden. So at the top here, inside the clear cart function, after clearing the content of the cart, we need to hide the modal. So we set its modal visible to false. So let's try this again. On the home, we can add one of the products to the cart. Then on the cart page. Okay, so this happened because the initial value of the modal visible is true. So we need to reverse that to false. So now if we go to our cart page and we press the button to clear the contents of the cart, we can continue, and then the content is cleared and the modal is hidden as well. At this point, if you have a look at our target images, we see that we've done all that we wanted to do. We've been able to apply the modal to the checkout confirmation, and also apply the confirmation to when you are clearing the content in the cart. I'll put a link to what we've done today in the description so you can check it out.